I could never run for political office because I don't keep my mouth shut. I offend people all the time. And sometimes what I mean to say doesn't come out right. During a mock presidential debate, I once said, college is stupid for some people. It is. But my own producers then turned that into an attack ad.
Don't vote for Stossel. He says
College is stupid.
Stossel, bad for our kids.
So what do real candidates do when they say things that can be spun badly? My colleague Andrea Tantaros has some answers. You know her as co-host of The Five, but she used to be press secretary for the Republican leadership in the House. So you worked for Boehner and Company, and you then lied to us in the press about stuff?
Oh, I never lied. It was actually Hastert and Company and Tom DeLay, and we had the majority. But I got to tell you, John, the goal of press secretary is to be as honest as possible, but you can never lie to the media. It's a cardinal rule.
I assume you always lie to the media.
No, you have to think of a careful way to phrase things. It's a bit of verbal gymnastics. So, for example, I was working on a Senate campaign, and I knew that my candidate was dropping out of the race. But I couldn't tell the media that. And the media started to sense that there was turmoil. So what
Is he dropping out of the race, Andrea?
Right, is he dropping out? Well, he's a candidate for Senate today. And we're in it till we're out of it, John. And right now we're talking about the issues. Because right now we actually were talking about those issues. On Saturday, probably not. We would have been out of the race. So you have to think of creative ways to phrase things.
Something that caused Romney trouble recently was when he was caught on tape telling donors that 47% of Americans are takers, not makers.
Who believe that they're entitled to health care, to food, to housing, to you name it. But it's an entitlement, and the government should give it to them. And they will vote for this president no matter what.
So he took heat for that. How would you have handled that?
Well, in this instance, I think he could have explained it a little bit better. I think in those situations, you take a crisis, what could seem like a crisis, a video like that leaked, and you turn it into an opportunity. And I would have let President Obama attack first and then use it as a chance to explain myself and say, you know what? Those 47% deserve an opportunity. And there's a lot more checks going out the door than there are jobs being created. And I want to represent those 47% and make sure that they have a chance. And I will work for them. That's what you do. You spin Obama's policies, which are more checks, more dependence, and say, listen, that's a shame. It's a shame that they're getting a check. No one wants to get a check from the government. It doesn't feel good. Opportunity feels better. That's what I'm going to do for those 47%.
I thought he was saying it does feel good to them, that they like getting a check from it. Don't some people like?
I think some do. I mean, hey, I'm Greek, so I know what happened in Greece better than anybody. And I think giving people free stuff is politically seductive. And a lot of people don't want to work. But I think if you're going to spin it, and that's what you're asking me to do, that's how I would.
President Obama was criticized for saying this.
If you got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
The issue is that they kept saying, you took my words out of context. That wasn't the full quote. Stephanie Cutter came out. That wasn't the full quote. But the issue is, John, when you played the full quote, it only got worse from there.
But the rest of the quote said things like, you had a good teacher paid for by the government.
Yeah, it takes a village.
It takes a village. Why is that a bad argument?
Because I think if they were going to do it the right way, they would have done it more unity, altogether. Instead, it only made business owners feel really terrible about themselves. And there was a way they could have done it, I think, that didn't make them seem so hostile to business. And they didn't do that.
And it motivated some business owners to say, I want to get involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's return to Governor Romney. Here's something he said during the primary that brought him criticism.
I like being able to fire people who provide services to me.
Oh, I heard that soundbite when it came out. And John, I thought, that's going to be an ad right away. They're going to clip his words. He actually forgot a word. It should have been bad services. But I do think that would have been a chance for him to also explain the difference between government and the private sector. If someone's not producing, if someone's not helping you produce and be productive, you should have the right to fire them. Look at the government. A lot of people in government, we can't fire them. Like the current president, we got to wait 4 years. That one he didn't handle that well.
A business that serves you, you can fire all the time, and that keeps them competitive. It's good. But
Exactly.
Romney didn't say that.
He didn't, and he didn't connect to workers either. who we've all worked with somebody who isn't producing. And so we get it. It means more work for us, and it means less profit for our employers.
President George W. Bush was criticized for trying to sell propaganda when 2 months after the invasion of Iraq, he flew to an aircraft carrier in the Pacific, and then with that big mission accomplished banner behind him, he declared,
"In the Battle of Iraq, the United States and our allies have prevailed."
So when he said that, everybody was thrilled. Why is that a gaffe?
I think the left tried to spin that it was a gaffe, but because it was so unsettling on the ground in Iraq, it didn't really mirror what a lot of the news reports were. However, again, if you're going to spin that, he was correct. They did accomplish the mission, which they outlined originally. At the time.
But then reality caught up with them in the next few months, and then that statement looked dumb.
Right. Well, they got into the whole nation-building issue. The initial goal was to topple Saddam Hussein. They accomplished it. Again, if I'm spinning this, I say it was also a nice pat on the back to our men and women in uniform who accomplished that goal. What's wrong with that? And my favorite thing as a press secretary, John, was the "oh, how dare you" response.
So as press secretary, you would say to the press, "How dare you attack the military?
How dare you?" Right? How dare you? He did that. He did that on a battleship. I mean, it was very patriotic. We accomplished the goal.
Now you're on television. You're just saying how you feel and what the truth is. But when you were doing this spin, do you ever feel dirty?
Sometimes. I wouldn't say dirty. I think I felt confined. And when I left politics, and I left being a spokesperson for governors and senators and member of Congress, I said, I'm just going to speak for myself now. And it's much more freeing to be able to explain your own views.
You're cleaner now. It's more free.
It's more freeing when you can just say what you want to say whenever you want to say it. And I said I would never read talking points, and I would never be mired by either party's positions. And I hope to do that every single day here on this network. So.
Thank you, Andrea. I hope you do.